In the last video, we looked at 6 foundational things you need to do to improve your eBay listings. In this video, we're going to look at what to do next. Let's get into it. If you didn't check out the last video, I would suggest checking that one out first. This is kind of the part 2 to that. But in that video, we looked at 6 main things that are important to your eBay listings. We looked at the importance of the product title, the item specific section, the description, keeping your prices competitive, quality photos, and then a few nuanced things about the seller performance metrics, keeping fresh inventory in your store, things like that. So that was our last video. In this video, we're gonna say you've done those things. You've created this solid foundation, you're uploading inventory pretty regularly, you're shipping things out on time, your feedback is 100% or very close to 100% and it's constantly increasing, and everything is going very well. What are some other things you can do to increase your sales on eBay? The first thing we're going to talk about is creating promotional sales. So in the marketing manager there on eBay, you can go through and create things like sales. You can create things like if somebody buys 5 cards, they get a certain percentage discount. There's different kinds of sales that you can offer, and these are good ways to incentivize buyers to look closer at your store. For example, if you have some kind of like buy 5 cards, get 20% off of your whole batch of cards kind of thing, it's going to incentivize people to, if they find a card and they're like, oh, I'm going to buy this card, but I see, oh, if I bought 4 more, I'd get a discount. Let me just go look at the store. Maybe they only buy that card, that's fine. But if you can get more eyeballs on your store, then there's more likely you're going to be selling more cards. And if you can get multiple cards from one buyer, that buyer is also more likely to become a repeat buyer later. You know, if they've already proven that they want more than just this one-off card here and there, that they want several cards at a time, so they're more likely to become a returning customer. There's also ways of doing these sales where it actually doesn't even like lower your profit, because when you're combining shipping, you know, I like to on lower end cards, I like to offer free shipping on cards that are going to be eBay standard envelope shipping for under $20. I didn't do that at the beginning, but I'm doing that now. But I kind of bake in the shipping cost into the card cost. So if it's a card I would normally sell for, you know, $2 and then have like 64-cent shipping, instead I'll sell it for $2.99 with free shipping. It's kind of, I bake in the shipping charge into it. But one of the things that's nice about that is if people do come in and buy 5 cards at a time, like really it's almost like they're paying 5 shipping charges because I've baked in the shipping charge to each of those individual cards. So if I can give a discount to people buying those 5 cards, I'm actually making just as much money as I would have made, but because of the weird psychology of people feeling like they get free shipping and for people feeling that they're getting that discount, they're actually more likely to buy multiple cards, even though you're selling them for the same price you would have sold them otherwise. I don't know if that makes sense, if I described that one quite right or not. Let me give an example so I can say what I mean. You know, if I had 5 different cards and all of them were cards that were $2 with 64-cent shipping, but if you combine those, the cost of the shipping is gonna be like the $1.11, the 3-ounce eBay standard envelope shipping price. Plus they've paid $11.11. But if instead of doing that, you just have your cards listed at $2.50 or $2.99 with free shipping, you bake in that price, then actually when they go to buy those 5 cards, it's more like $12 or $15 right off the bat. So then you can offer a bulk discount. You can say if you buy 5 cards under $20, you get 20% off or whatever it is. They're seeing this as they got a good deal, but actually you still end up selling these cards that would sell for $15. They still end up selling for $11 or something like that, which is exactly what it would have been had you just done combined shipping previously. But they look at free shipping, they look at discount, the psychology of all that makes them think that they are getting a good deal, even though you're really selling it for the same. It's just a weird psychology thing. Another option you can do is offer kind of promotional shipping. So if you do charge shipping on each individual card, one thing you can do is say, if you buy this much amount, if you buy $50 worth of cards, if you buy $20 worth of cards, it's going to be free shipping. You know, something like this. Again, part of this is if it gets people to look at your store. If you say something where if you have $20, you get free shipping, you've got a card on there that's $10 and they have to pay $1 shipping, but they'll go in and be like, well, let me just check. Let me see if there's another $10 card that I want to buy so I can go ahead and get free shipping. And a lot of people will go into your store, and once people are in your store, if there's actually stuff that they want, if your prices are actually reasonable and good and comparative to other options, if your pictures are good so they can see it, all of those things are there, then they're likely to end up adding another card. And even if they don't, at least they've looked closer at your store, which also gives them a more likely chance to like click the button to follow your store or to just kind of know who you are as a brand so that they remember you. The next thing I want to talk about is the promoted listing option. Now this is a little bit nuanced. Down toward the bottom of your listing, you can choose to have a certain percentage that eBay will take a certain percentage from like 1% up to whatever you want to put. I've seen some YouTubers who did like 99% promoted listings just to see what would happen. And it's basically the higher percentage you put there, the more often your listing will pop to the very top and say like sponsored listing on it. The problem with promoted listings is whatever percentage you put on it also means they take that much additional percentage on top of all of the percentages they're already taking, like 13.25% plus 30 cents on every single card. So if you add in another promoted listing of 15% or whatever, they're taking another 15% on top of that 13.25%, which is just getting ridiculous. But at the same time, it can help your sales. I will very often on new listings, I'll just put a 2% promoted listing. I know that's not going to pop it up into sponsored that often, but it will every once in a while. And so I figure if it's not selling, just through regular searches, which still most people are going to be finding their card through regular searches. If they find it through regular searches, I don't have to pay that 2%. But every once in a while, it will pop to the top, be a sponsored listing. If they happen to find it that way, they might not have found it another way. So I don't mind paying that extra 2%. I don't go higher than that generally for new listings at least, because I don't want to pay more. It's already too high. That being said, if there's a card that's been sitting there stale for a long time, one of the ways that you can work on offloading it is actually giving it a higher promoted listing. If you're at a point where you're just like, oh my gosh, this card has been sitting in my store for 6 months, nobody is buying it, let's just go put a 25% promotional thing on this, let's get rid of it. This kind of like just offloading it. There's other ways to offload your inventory. You don't have to do it that way. I did talk in the last video, you could end a listing, relist the listing. It pops up not as a stale card anymore, but as a brand new listing. It will pop up higher in eBay searches. So usually I'll do that first. If it's been in my store for 2 or 3 months and hasn't sold, oftentimes I will repost that same listing. Other times I'll take cards that have been sitting there for a long time, I'll end the listing, I'll just send them off to ComC. Another thing some people will do is they'll take all those, they'll end the listing, they'll compile them into lots of similar types of cards and sell them as a lot instead. But one thing that I do is if the card has been sitting there, I'll pop it up to a much higher promotional percentage. I might be cutting into my profit, I might not make any profit from it, but at least it's moving. At least it's finally moving. So I wouldn't overuse promoted listings. I worry that over time, eBay is going to become more and more like a pay to win type of thing. The higher percentage that you're willing to give them, the better that your sales will do. They're already kind of doing that. I don't like that when they're already taking so much percentage off. They're really cutting into a lot of people's bottom line. It's not my favorite feature that they even have. I kind of wish they didn't even have it as a feature, but it's there and it's something that I do use at about 2% regularly. And another thing you can do is if you have social media presence, have different ways of people to link back to your eBay store. I say that and I'm not even really doing that myself. I'm not very good at using my social media presence for other purposes, but if you do have different social media presence, if you link your eBay store, you show a card on your Instagram and you link it on eBay or whatever. On Instagram is not the greatest because you can't use hyperlinks, but just different ways of kind of marketing yourself a little bit outside of just what's in the eBay space, but getting people pointed into the eBay space. That will help. And even doing that like kind of intensively for just a short time could help too. eBay oftentimes sees that if you have a lot of eyeballs in your store, the algorithm says, wow, he's bringing in people to the platform. Let's promote this store more. This is clearly a store that people want. So anything that's going to be bringing eyeballs to eBay is going to help your chances with eBay's algorithm. So whatever that looks like for you, it's just something else to keep in mind. If you have other little tips and tricks to be able to improve your eBay listings, please do share them in the comments below. And if I find more things over time, I'll make another video like this at some point. But for the time being, I hope this was helpful for you, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.